We'll pick up from our Messiah, the Medrash. So the Medrash begins that I don't know which one is greater because both are chukim. Both have to be, both avodas, Torah mitzvahs and shuvah have to be, and he says, eingekritzt, engraved, benefesh adam. Both in mamshech shem havaya. But shuvah is greater still, because shuvah is mamshech from Haide Nishtalshalis mamish, havaya de le'ela, which is a Moishe Rabbeinu is eliciting in your given midas harachamim. So continue the Messiah ben Medrash from mi g'doila, which is greater than Medrash, answers apoda sheichli apesach tzrichin lo shenemar, those who eat the korban pesach need it. V'lochel atomim me'afas refes achatos, so the tummy needs to be purified from the paraduma. Shezeh shegam atzadikim tzrichim l'tshuva. The pasuk says latomei, but the chiddush is that even tzadikim have to do tshuva. K'maymer Mashiach asa la'asov tzadikai b'tshuvta. Mashiach will come and return the tzadikim in tshuva. V'hainu sh'achidush yischadish b'biyas HaMashiach v'inyan avidas ha'tshuva b'kol echad ve'echad. That Mashiach pearls, the chiddush of Mashiach is tshuva not only for the sinner but even for the tzaddik. Hein b'tzadikim shegam etzlam yeyin ha'tshuva. V'gam ha'bali tshuva yischadish b'biyas HaMashiach tshuva nailis yoyse. And even bali tshuva b'biyas HaMashiach is a higher tshuva. And in general, what is that? The general distinction is, of which there is endless levels, is the lower level of tshuva basically is that he's fixing his chatoim. The higher level of tshuva is, how could I have done this to you? So if the problem or the tshuva is to you, then there's no end to that. There's no end to that tshuva. On the contrary, the more I appreciate you, the more embarrassing is my aveda, or even my mitzvah. The more I recognize its paucity, as I recognize ever greater the privilege to be in a relationship with you. So that's a tshuva that even for tzaddikim, that's what Chassidus brings. That's the great chiddush of Chassidus, which is Achon for Biyas and Mashiach, the great chiddush, that the whole Torah mitzvahs is about a relationship with Hashem and His desire that we be connected to Him and make a dira for Him, as opposed to before Chassidus, it was all about our Elam Haba and Gan Eden and our growth and so on. And Hashem, as the perfect God we would expect Him to be, is unaffected. But Chassidus is Megalad, the Eibishter is beyond perfection and beyond even Ein Sof HaBlikvul, and Atmos is chosen, and therefore it's a whole different avodah, and that elicits tshuva. Tshuva as in not so much regret or even guilt, but the constant return, the constant deepening of the relationship, the new appreciation, new level of commitment. And that's dafke besimcha, and that's shaykh to tzadikim, and shaykh to bali tshuva, from tshuva tatot to tshuva ilah. So v'zeu gam shebepara aduma murum bezin hagula asida. And since this is then the chidushim of Mashiach, the union of tshuva on this level, so therefore paraduma, which is that's what it's about. So paraduma, it says the Medrash Psik the Rav Kahana in the Chiyuv, in the Pasuk we were told, commanded about paraduma, so it's murum as the Dalet Golias. Para is Mitzrayim, and Edom is Bavel, so on Hashem Bamum. is Poras, Asher Loi Olo Aleh Oil, doesn't have a yoke. That's the last Golus, Roimi. That's where the last Avodah is Kabbalah Oil. It's the last description of the Paraduma that it doesn't have a yoke. So it's the tikkun for the precursor of Rome, which is our Avodah. So all of this is merumes in the Paraduma. Why? It's all Geulish. It's Achana Lagula Asida, because Tshuva is all integral. It's an Achana for the Geula, the Hashem Shulgolas, Mitzrayim, Hoyis Achana Matan Teira V'det Tzadikim. So by Golas Mitzrayim, which was the beginning of the Avodah, so what was the Achana for Matan Teira? Then Avodah Tzadikim. And therefore, hence was Nizgala, Gali de Teira. So what was revealed primarily then was Nigla. Pnimis HaTorah was largely concealed. Now is the Chiddush of Mashiach. In the Kemoikin, our goal is the Achshav. So likewise, there's the Hachana. But the Hachana now, which is the Hachana, the Geula, HaSida, to the final Geula, Shaz is Gala, Leirak, Rozin, Deiraisa. The Mashiach will come and be revealed, not just the secrets, Lagam Rozin, Rozin, the secrets of the secrets. Sheshayich in Tshuva, as we explained before. Tshuva Ilah. The pasuk says he kisses me with the kisses of his mouth. These are the reasons, the deep reasons and secrets of Torah revealed la'asid. So therefore, what's the achana? What is the achana to the gili of Pnimis HaTorah? Is dafket avodah of tshuva, and the avodah of tshuva described before, not tshuva tata, but dafket tshuva ilah, which is shaykh to tzadikim and bali tshuva. Shalachein, therefore, achana l'biyas HaMashiach, so integral to all of this, is the afotas ha'mayonas, the Pnimis HaTorah chutza, is the afotas of Pnimis HaTorah, which will be nizgala them, which now is being me'oder this tshuva, megala this tshuva. There's a zeichen l'biyas HaMashiach, to which we merit Mashiach's coming, shows this gala pnimis HaTorah kol echad v'echad miYisrael, b'toich klal Yisrael. The pnimis HaTorah be revealed to every Jew amongst all Yidden. It's interesting that in Order 77, he refers us to the Maimon we learned last year, v'maskilim yasiru, of Tavshin Chav. Where there, the whole unit of Pnimis HaTorah and the Re'iyah and Elikus, if you recall, was explained. Okay, let's have an overview of the Maimon. Let's go ois by ois, briefly. Okay, so everybody's welcome to chime in. So the shilas were, why 2 times Havaya? What's the answer in retrospect? Why 2 times Havaya in the pasuk? Vidber Havaya mentioned in this Chukas Shetziv Havaya. Anybody? Huh? Because to tshuva is Havaya delay l'hayde nishtalshalus, and that's what paradum is. Then the whole medrash on the words he libi tamim b'chokecha. My heart should be whole in your statutes, Lashon Rabbim. So the Medrash says it's referring to 2 chukim, Chukas HaPesach, Chukas Paraduma, because they're similar. Both say chukah. We don't know which one is greater. The mashal for 2 matronos. So how do you know who is greater? The one who serves. No, it's not so much serve, but yes, sir. But the point is the one who's indispensable, and the other one needs it. So if you need the one that is needed, the one that is needed is the higher one. Hence, part of Adumba is the Chukas HaPar is greater, because in order to bring the Korban Pesach, we need Par Adumba. So you have to understand the 2 inyonim conveyed in the Medrash. First, the Medrash wants us to know that Shtei and Gedolos, that they're both great. You have to know that first of all. And then upon probing, has to be nizgala that Chukas HaTorah is greater. It's dangerous to know that both are great at the outset. You know why it's dangerous? Because I justify my sin. Oh, there's tshuva. And tshuva is even higher. So we're not going to take our Vedas very seriously. If at the get-go we're told, all we want is your tshuva. Okay, happy to oblige. Here's a few sins which I'll do tshuva for. So the Medrash doesn't want us, God forbid, to have this foolish attitude. So the Medrash has to establish that both are chukim and gedolos, and then give us this abstruse moshel about two matrunos which we have to fathom, and we need chassidus to megala that the end's tshuva, and tshuva ilah, not the tshuva that we thought they would have thought at the outset. Had it said only tshuvas, I think good. You sing, you do tshuva, so wonderful. No, we're talking about a tshuva that's even for the tzaddik, even a tzaddik's tshuva. And the tshuva of the Baal tshuva is not enough. It has to be tshuva on the tshuva ilah. And all that is conveyed by first establishing that they're both chukim, as he says later, to be engraved, and they're both gedolah, and they're both mamshech Shem Havaya, and they're both integral to the kavani elyon. So to understand all of this is Maktis. What was the basic question? Help me here. He brought the shalah. What was the shaila? What was the shalah's answer? What's the shaila here? Why? No? Don't be bashful.
Why specifically H? Why is H focused in on in terms of the Malachas Shabbos?
Why does it Torah single out Leisavada Eish? So there's the answers in the Gemara which Rashi brings. The Lav Yotzes or the Chalek Yotzes. We won't repeat that again. It's in the Rashi. That's the answer Pin Nigla. What does Shalah give? What's the Nakud of the Shalah's answer?
That's the figure of Malachas by you. It starts out by you. Connected by you, which is the beginning of all creation, which is
Right. So all of creation comes as a result of Asara Mamoris. On Shabbos, the whole point is not to do malacha, not to fix creation, not to be creative. So what's the first creation is Oir. In other words, the Asara Mamoris, the first one is Chochmah. And Chochmah is bittul with the Oir. The Oir shines. In the nefesh, the Eira nefesh shines. The Maila means a likus in its purity. So, says the Shalah, Lo Yisevaru Eish, the Torah is saying that on Shabbos we have to transcend all the malachas, and this is the malach which is Kol Kulam. Like the Maimer Echad Sheyochel, Ali B'Maimer Echad Yochel Liboris, which goes on Sfiras HaChochma. That's the Inyan of Eish. So this the whole Maimon is going to explain. So Iz Gimel began, and he brings the pasuk. What's the pasuk? Ki havai likecha eish oichlahu. So what's the meaning of likecha? Likecha means that it's in your pnimi. It's to be mamshich. So what do we have to be mamshich? You have to be mamshich the inyan of eish. What do we see about the natural properties of fire? Number one, that he points out now, what is it? What's the unique property of fire, which is unique to all the other Yesodis? That it's Eila L'mayla. So what does he want to say with that? So what is that conveying about the mission statement, which is a statement. You have to be mamshech alikecha, your koyach and your chayis, havay lekecha eish.
Always separate from the world.
Pardon?
He's always moved or separate from the world.
Who is moved from the world? Right, so what's the avodah here? This is a mandate, it's a mission, it's a tzivui.
To draw from the world, to draw on that transcendence.
into the world, we have to be mamshich elikos that is higher than the world. There's a key quote here in this paragraph that's central to this nekuda and the very central idea in Chassidus, central to the Maamar. It's there in that first paragraph. What would that be? It's a quote. Yeah. Number 15. Loi zehu ikar alikus ma'asho'elemis nishav mimenu. It's a vote of the Alter Rebbe in Torah and the Torah, quoted extensively in Chassidus. What does it mean? Not this is the primary inyan or primary truth of or identity or essence of Alikus, that worlds come from him.
Maila.
Right. He's not a creator. He's the creator, which means he chose to be a creator, but he's not a creator. As extraordinary as creation is, divine intelligence, etc. So all of this is not who the Eibishter is, it's a choice. So that's what Eish means. They have to be mamshich into the world. The world should acknowledge and be suffused with a likus that's higher than creation, and know God as beyond creator. Creation is million dead yoita. What does that mean? Everybody remembers the whole quote? We had it in the previous Maamar, the one before. It's a quote also, number 16 from the Zohar. He just quotes part of the quotation, but it's frequently quoted. It's not the way of the king, lishtamish, b'million dead yoita. The king doesn't speak common language. And if he does, he's descending from his kingly state. So the Zohar is saying that million dead yoita, that's out of my mothers. That's something Hashem has chosen because he is Yisavet Evedir B'Tachtonim. But he is utterly beyond, and that's what we need to be mamshech in the world. Now that's also expressed in the pasuk of the next paragraph. Kol hanikra b'shmi u'lechvodi barasi v'tzartiv af asisiv. How does he explain the pasuk here? Let's start with the end of the pasuk, because that's a big adgasha here. Barasi v'tzartiv af asisiv. What's that? That's biyah, which meaning it's creation. That's the kavanah, tachten. Which later he says corresponds to, therefore, what's the avodah in barasi v'tzartiv af asisiv? What's the avodah? Yeah, we said that, but what's the avodah? In what? Look inside. In the three, the diak, barasi v'tzartiv af asisiv. The whole teichen of this ois, that corresponds to machshava, dibur u'maisa, which in turn corresponds to Torah, Ved, and Gemilas Chasodim, right? All the pratim there. And machshava is a bria, is havus of oisius. So that's barasi v'tzartiv af asisiv. What does it mean? Kol hanikra b'shmi. The diak is kol hanikra b'shmi u'lechvodi. How does he explain it? Zehu is continuing what he just said in the previous paragraph. This is the meaning of Kol Nikra Bishmi L'Chvedi Baraseva Yitzati Vafasisiv. What's Kol Nikra mean? Fourth line from the paragraph. The call. What does the call mean? Mamshech, to summon. Huh?
The voice.
To summon.
Yeah.
So we have to mamshech b'shmi u'kvoidi, where in baros v'tzati v'afasisiv, and that is through the avodah of Yidden, through the parallel gimel keichas hanefesh and machshav dibur u'maisa. Okay. And there was an arichas there. Right? We're just giving an overview. But there was narichas there that we need to get clear how they match. And we remember we were struggling with or discussing the connection between Torah, Dafka, and Dibur, as opposed to tefillah, and whatever we should have and other diyukim from actually, they send us to the Maimer the following year, Tavshechav Beis, the Rebbe speaks about this more barichas. So that was in the previous jury. Now another prat, at the end of verse Gimel, he adds another component to the inyan of Eish. Till now we spoke about Eish as being what? Connected to L'maylim Oilemus. What's the second Nakuda? Shnoisiv Lakach Laziyad. So what's the dik in Eish Oichla? First Madik was Eish, now the Oichla, consuming fire, meaning Bittul. Without Bittul, nothing happens. So he says not enough to avoid Torah mitzvahs, because that can be completely self-serving. But it has to be the Bittul. And if it's not, he brings all the Memari Chazal, the Eibishter says, there's no room for me. It's full of yourself. The famous story of the Baal Shem Tov, that he once came to a town for Shabbos, and there were two places he could stay. Both of them were fairly well-to-do and had a large enough dining room to accommodate the people who come to the Tish Friday night. One of them was very respectable, big Talmid Chacham, big Baal Tzedakah. The other one, there were rumors in town about him, about his tzidkes. And he chose to stay dafka with the second one. So they asked him, how could this be? So he said, there's no room for me, the other fella. The Eibishter is not there because of his arrogance. So there's no room for me. The other fellow, not such a tzaddik, but he said, there's room. There's room for the Eibishter, there's room for me, there's room for all of us. Then he added strong words that through Yeshes, it's not only through arrogance that we're not megala elikus in the world. Of course, when you do a mitzvah, even shalei lishma, and even out of gaiva, and even for reasons to get reward or feel good or whatever the agenda may be, but etzem you are connecting. But he's speaking about the giloi. There's no giloi of it. On the contrary, he says, not only there's no giloi, but Torah mitzvah is done for self-serving purposes actually increases the cheshech and the klip in the world. So therefore, there has to be the inyan of what? Of bittul. And that's why Shema precedes Vayam Shemaya. Then comes Eis Dalet. So this is all very good. What? Everything we described till now is appropriate for whom? Tzaddikim, in other words, the person who stays on basically on the straight and narrow. However, is it b'derech hayosher, derech hamelech? However, the one who is chota pogam b'avar is aderech, sin, blemish, transgressed. So he's missing in one of the three. He doesn't say he's missing in all of them. He's missing in one of them. He says, his b'shleim is in his stock is wonderful, he's davening or he's learning. Something there is. So therefore, it can't be mamshech because you need to have the b'shleim as the hamshacha. So here, everything we described till now is simply not enough. So the tikkun is avodas hatshuva. So then he has two shilas. He has two shilas on the statement, which we're all familiar with. What was the shilah? It's all very well bishleima what? You can understand the mile of the about tshuva in what sense? What's the shilah here in the beginning of his Dalet? That it's more intense, yeah. But she's further away. To get to where the tzaddik is, that takes more effort. It's b'cheliyata, and that can be acknowledged and recognized. So the statement should say that the avodah of the Baal Tshuva is greater. That's okay. But the place where he arrives is greater. How could that be? And another shaila on the story of Rabbi about the Daya, right? That he did every sin in the book, and finally he did tshuva. And Bocha Rabbi, and Rabbi cried, and what did he say? Yesh keinei lamai v'kama shonim. There are those that acquire the world over the course of many years. And yesh keinei lamai b'sha'achas. And he did, he says, and he got the title Rabbi Allah Zabar Dudaya. So what's the Rebbe Shaila? What's the Shaila on the Rebbe's statement? Tzarich Lavin. I don't know. You have the photocopies that I do. It starts in Kuf Lamed Tes at the bottom. It's Tzarich Lavin. The Hot Tinach. I think it's all very good. It's Leitzach. It makes sense. What? That he's Mashamoichle Levin Isav. He's forgiven. We understand. He did tshuva, wiped the slate clean. He goes up to the world pure. No genem. No need for purification. Tremendous tshuva. He quotes the Rambam, the mile of the Baal Tshuva. But what's the shaila?
Why does he acquire the world?
How can he? What's his world? What's Elamai?
It's the three pillars.
He's avoid upon which the world stands. The three pillars. He didn't do Torah avoid the Gemilas Chasadim. How can he? It's nothing to acquire. Didn't do it.
So we're saying tshuva. The question is tshuva is not separate, but tshuva is tshuva, and then there's the
L'chaira, we would think classic tshuva. Now he's going to explain what tshuva really, the tshuva he speaks of. But the tshuva, the profound regret, and to the point he died. I mean, he died in that regret. His soul expired, so he left the neshama, left the world pure. This we understand. But to say he comes up with his world, with his Torah v'gemilas chasadim. What's the answer? One answer to both questions. Why this tshuva is higher than the avodah of the tzaddik, and why Rabbi Elazar about the Daya was keinei lamei.
such a tshuva draws down from a place that's higher than God.
Right. Yes, because through such a tshuva, he reaches a level where there's no pagam, and it's hide in place and time, and it's truly bligvul. So all of the gaps and the holes are filled in the deepest and richest way. Now, what is the metaphor he uses? It's a metaphor that the pasuk uses. Tzur. Why is it tzur the metaphor? Why is the rock the metaphor? Because it produces kinetic energy. It produces, if you strike it, it produces fire. And emes now with the aid of science, even science of 1950, we know that the atom, there's tremendous energy inside the inanimate matter, but it's not apparent to the naked eye. And because there's tremendous energy, therefore it can produce the fire. Reacts, however it works there. But it's completely behelim. So there's three levels to the Eish. Look at Eish. There's Eish, revealed fire, then there's what? There's a burning coal where you can see the fire, but it's not projecting. But you can see, and it's hot to the touch, and it's warm. It gives light. And then there's the tzur, the rock, that even submerged in water, you take it out, it still produces the fire. So this is where, now how is the fire produced? This is Negeya. What does it say at the end of the ice?
Strike it.
You got to strike it. And what's the meaning of Avodah? Fourth line, last few words. Bisman mer beyoisal rechuk melikus. to be deeply embittered over his distance from Elikus. So through that is mamshich, the fire from the tzur. So that's why Kernei Loma, it is no pagam. And that's higher than Avidat Tzadikim, who are mamshich from where? From the revealed, manifested level of the fire. And that is also one more little bit, next paragraph. And that's a connection to the whole, you're giving me the sarachim, the whole scene described in the Torah. What does Hashem tell Moishe Rabbeinu? What does he have to do? He has to hide in the cleft of the rock. Hini mokim iti, explain the word mokim iti. He is a place with me. What's the diak with iti? It's talking with me, mamshich, the deepest levels of likus, the essential level. But how? For samticha benikras hatzur. It's only through the avodah of the tshuva that Moishe is eliciting the tzur, the striking of the rock. Tshuva yilah. So that level is no pagam. Furthermore, now came another diak. We'll look at this tomorrow, but try and review this. Now comes another dimension, another component here, and that is that you started off that the tzur means what? Chayzek, and strong implies gvura, might. So he adds this whole beautiful gvura component to the chesed. Not that it's classic gvura, on the contrary, it's the deepest level of gvuras chasodim, takberes achayis, which we'll review again a little bit tomorrow, and then perhaps continue the next Maimer.